my name is Jennifer, and my family has Tandy's Cats of the World in Penns Creek. We rescue wild animals, mainly ones that people had illegally as pets. So they either find out about us, or most of them are confiscated by different government agencies, and then we're contacted to provide them a home. We also receive animals from zoos and other rescue facilities. And then also from wildlife rehabilitation centers, we have animals out here that have injuries that they wouldn't be able to return to the wild and survive, so they're allowed to live here. When the animals come here, they stay here. This is their permanent home, and we have about around 250 mammals that live here. We also have a few hundred birds. Most of the birds are ones that were people's pet birds, like parrots and different type of macaws. Those are ones that people maybe had and didn't realize they live a long time. Their birds are very loud. They're very messy. They also bite pretty hard. Things change in people's lives, and they need to find a home for them, or maybe they took on the bird trying to help it and didn't realize the situation that they are in with the bird, or maybe they inherited the bird and after trying it didn't quite work out. So we also have an aviary here now at T&D's that we take care of different types of like pet birds like that. We're also not funded by the government or compensated to take the animals, even though a lot of them are government confiscations. So we are funded privately. Mainly my parents' retirement goes into feeding and maintaining the animals, and then we are open for the public about 70 days a year. We are a rescue, so we don't feel the animals need to put up with people every day. They need a time to be themselves, so we're open on a limited basis for visitors to come and see them, but that also does help take care of them. The cats, I guess I didn't really touch on the mammals, but we have, like I said, about 250 mammals, and ranging from anywhere from small animals like, top of my head, just like raccoons, all the way up to tigers. We have monkeys and bears and wolves, and the food is probably the main cost of keeping the animals. The carnivores eat about 10,000 pounds of meat a month, which is about 10 or 12 cows. So we do get some help from farmers. If they have cows, horses, calves that die, they'll donate it to the animals. It helps the farmers out, and obviously helps us out with feeding the animals. So it does give them a pretty natural diet. And then they also get chicken and turkey and to supplement that. Then when the farmers are having the good luck, which means we're having the bad luck. So we do have to provide quite a bit of food on our own for those animals. So that's probably the main source of funding that we need to feed the animals. And of course, the monkeys need their produce and other types of foods to help keep them healthy. So we just whatever needs a home, we are here to try and help. We also rehab native Pennsylvania wildlife, so we do get calls with people find bunnies and squirrels, so we try and help those out and get those obviously back out into the wild when we can.
You mentioned the monkeys, the primates. Is it true that you adopted some of them from Bucknell?
There was one a few years ago. Yeah, actually several years ago now. Yeah, just a baby that was born, and the mother wouldn't take care of it, so that ended up coming here.
Oh, that's interesting, because it's a lot of people don't realize that they have the primates actually at Bucknell.
Yeah, I mean they use those for like behavioral research. It's not open for the public or anything, but it's they have them there for the behavioral research for the undergrads and the graduate students. Yeah, it's a pretty neat opportunity for students to be able to learn with them, because not a lot of universities have that opportunity.
And speaking of the students, do you allow folks to come out, and do you take volunteers at all?
We do take volunteers, yep, and you don't have to have any type of degree in animal husbandry or anything. We have what I call the college students, obviously are still learning, and then we have our mature volunteers is how I call them, which are the ones that are either retired or are actually out in the real world and working. So we have a wide range of ages that come out and help, and it doesn't have to be, like I said, just have to have an interest and a love of animals, and we take it from there. I think we have about 14 regular volunteers right now for the summer, and college students, we have more requirements from them because they have more time, so they can commit more time. But some of our other working adults, come out 2 or 3 times a month to help out. So we're pretty flexible with that as long as they are, reliable in their incoming.
Absolutely. I do notice, I checked out your website, and other than coming to visit, which I was going to ask a few questions of that, how can the listeners help you out? In other words, are there spots on the website for donations?
Yeah, obviously monetary donations are great. You can sponsor an animal for yourself or somebody. Sometimes people do that for birthdays, or usually around Christmas we get quite a few sponsors. People will do that for Christmas gifts, especially like grandparents for their grandkids. And it's a little packet of information that you get. But one thing I think they like is that we send you season passes, so then the grandparents can bring their grandkids out and do something, give them an experience with them. But yeah, you can do that. We're always doing some type of construction. We do most of our own construction because of cost. So if anything, when we're building something, the price of what we are paying for is for the materials. So, we always say if people have, we're building something, especially now, I guess lumber is golden, so I won't get much free lumber right now, but sometimes, people might have 10 2x4s sitting around and might just drop them off because we can always use something like that for projects. But, we do most of the construction ourselves, but we can always use, materials for the projects. I know some kids have done like lemonade stands over the summer to help the animals. We had one girl in the spring that they had a project at school. She was in first grade or second grade. She was like 7, 8 years old, so first or second grade, and she ended up on her own just chose to have a fundraiser for the lemurs, and she raised like $400 for the lemurs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yep. She sold candy bars, and and she was from like out near Tyrone, like out that way, like Altoona, out that way.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise. Yep.
Hey, if somebody wants to come in and take a tour, can you help me out with that? Can you tell me what the tour is like, and maybe your hours, or if you have private tours, or how that works?
Sure. Yep. In the summer, we are open May through September on Saturdays and Sundays, and on the weekend you wander around on your own and self-guided, and we have volunteers out to answer questions and to make sure that visitors are being respectful of the animals. We're very concerned about that, and we make sure that the animals are always safe. So you can wander around on your own between 12 and 6. And then in August, we have tours on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 10 o'clock, and then also at 2 o'clock, and visitors have to go on a tour during the week. They're a little over an hour long, the tours. And that you can just show up and walk around with the volunteer, with your guide. But we also have like daycares or like camps that will call and set up a time during one of those tour times to also come see the animals too. So we're getting some camps this year, which is great compared to last year.
Yeah, I can imagine that the animals were missing a lot of people interaction with this COVID thing. Yeah.
And May is our big month for school tours. So obviously last year we didn't have any school tours, and we had a few this spring, which was nice. But yeah, it was a little. I was with everybody. It was a little rough last year.
So, do you still have your gift shop?
We do. Yep, we do have a gift shop. Yep, and we try and keep the prices reasonable so everybody can, kids want to go home with something. Big kids and little kids. There's always the prices are pretty reasonable in there. We and all proceeds go to the animals since we don't have paid staff. Like all the proceeds from the gift shop go to the animals too.
Absolutely. And since we're talking about coming to see you, I know you and I had talked before. It's kind of difficult to, if you're not from that neck of the woods, to actually find you with the GPS sends you one way, and maybe you have a suggestion as far as what roads to look for, because I think really once you get into Penns Creek, it's just 2 turns and you're there. But GPS has kind of got you going everywhere else.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I think it's the way that the things were redone out here with the 911 system, but because there's like two other mountain roads in our delivery area, so it does sometimes send people the wrong way, but it is really easy. So my suggestion is, if you are using your GPS, and we do have coordinates on our website, you can use those, or if you're just typing us in, just make sure that your GPS shows you that we are a mile outside of Penns Creek, because some of them send you 6 miles away to the other mountain roads. Or you can just get on our website and look up, visit us, and you can see there's handwritten directions on there. But you're right, it's very easy once you get to Penns Creek.
Absolutely, it gets the last thing you want to do is get up there and get turned around, because it is kind of off the beaten path, but it's well worth the trip. I mean, especially if you're coming from up here in Williamsport, it's definitely worth it to get down. I know the last time I was there was before you had the bird set up. And
oh, wow!
You can easily put a lot of time in there, and just walking around, you have to be observant, because I walked right past a tiger and never saw her, never.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about a mile walk around, and it's in a wooded area, and we try and keep the enclosures natural and as large as possible. So, I mean, yeah, you were probably walking by the one tiger area is like 3 acres. So,
it's absolutely beautiful
there.
Your area is absolutely beautiful, and it's and no matter where you're coming from, it's worth a trip, because you get to make a day out of it, and I think that's the one thing that I think is outstanding. Now, do you have any special events coming up over the next month or two that you'd like to make sure everybody, if they want to plan something, maybe they could plan around a special day you have going on? Yeah,
unfortunately this year we didn't plan anything this year. Last year was our 30th year open. I guess I didn't mention that, but yeah, this is our 31st year open for the season, or open for the public, I should say. We actually don't have anything planned this year. I'm not sure why, but we just don't.
Well, the COVID kind of threw the wrench into it, so everyone's kind of going by the seat of their pants, which I'm kind of excited about, because now that everything is open, it's just nice to just be able to relax.
Yeah, and from Williamsport, like you mentioned, Williamsport, like it's no more than an hour drive from Williamsport, so we're not that far away.
Yeah, make a day of it. Yeah. It's something that you can't just walk down the street here and see. You'll get down there and you can learn a lot, and you can hit a mom and pops on the way. If you want something to eat, I can't recommend anything I can think of off the top of my head, but there you make a day out of it, and it's well worth the trip. If you're coming out to see the cats of the world, what you need to do is correct footwear. Maybe make sure you have sun protection, and maybe even a bug spray for going in the evening. What do you think?
Yeah. That's probably a good idea. It's pretty shaded most of the way around, but yeah, definitely sunscreen, and if you are sensitive to bugs, it's usually not too bad, buggy-wise out here, but some people are a little more sensitive than others. But yeah, that's a good idea.
And if you, there again, like you mentioned, it's a natural looking habitat, so you just want to make sure that you're dressed accordingly. Don't come out in heels, because it's not going to fare well.
Right. Nope, no heels. Nope, this is all a stone and grassy walk.
Yeah, it's a nice, and you say how far of a walk around is it?
It's about a mile walk around, yep.
Get some exercise out of it too.
That's right.
All right, well, hey, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.